In late January 2025, a significant media stir erupted following comments made by former President Donald Trump regarding two NASA astronauts Barry Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams who were aboard the International Space Station ISS. Trump alleged that the current Biden administration had abandoned the astronauts, describing them as virtually stranded in space. This prompted Trump to publicly request that SpaceX founder Elon Musk arrange for their return to Earth. Background and context. Wilmore and Williams had launched to the ISS on June 5, 2023 aboard Boeing's CST-100 Starliner for what was originally planned to be an 8 to 10-day mission. However, the mission encountered serious technical issues including propellant leaks and pressurization problems. As a result, NASA decided to extend their stay aboard the ISS for safety reasons, prioritizing mission stability and logistics. In August 2023, NASA officially announced that the astronauts would remain on the ISS longer than initially planned, with their return scheduled via a SpaceX Crew Dragon spacecraft that had vacant seats available. On September 28, 2023, SpaceX successfully launched a Crew Dragon spacecraft to the ISS, which included 2 crew members while leaving seats open for Wilmore and Williams. Key developments leading to Trump's comments. By December 2023, NASA announced the postponement of the Crew 10 launch to late March 2025, which further delayed Wilmore and Williams' return, now anticipated for early April. The astronauts had been aboard the ISS for an extended duration, but NASA maintained that they were not abandoned and could return at any time based on the agency's scheduling. On January 28, 2025, Trump took to his social media platform Truth Social to criticize the Biden administration for its handling of the situation. He claimed to have instructed Musk to go get the astronauts, framing the narrative as a rescue mission. Musk, in turn, echoed Trump's sentiments on his own social media platform X, formerly Twitter, stating that he would facilitate their return as soon as possible. Mischaracterization of the situation. Despite the dramatic language used by Trump, multiple sources clarified that Wilmore and Williams were not stranded or abandoned. NASA representatives confirmed that both astronauts were safe and fully supported aboard the ISS, capable of returning to Earth whenever NASA decided. The astronauts themselves expressed their understanding and acceptance of the extended mission duration, emphasizing their professionalism and commitment to their work. NPR, CBS News, and Space News all reported on the situation and emphasized that there was a well-coordinated plan already in place for the astronauts' return. These reports highlighted the mischaracterization of their status as stranded and questioned the political motivations behind Trump's remarks. Political implications. Trump's comments were seen as part of a broader political critique against the Biden administration, suggesting negligence in handling space missions. NASA's previous leadership had clearly stated that the decision to extend the astronauts' stay was based on technical assessments rather than political influences. Bill Nelson, the former NASA administrator, had previously affirmed that politics did not play a role in the decision-making process regarding the astronauts' extended mission. The role of SpaceX. SpaceX's involvement in the situation was also a point of contention. While Musk's statements suggested urgency and a need for a rescue mission, plans for the astronauts' return had already been established. The Crew Dragon spacecraft scheduled for their return was part of a normal rotation process, and NASA was managing the logistics of crew changes as part of its operational procedures. Conclusion. While Trump's request for SpaceX to bring back the astronauts generated significant media attention, the reality of the astronauts' situation was far less dramatic. Wilmore and Williams were not stranded in space but were instead part of a carefully coordinated mission plan. The confusion and political commentary surrounding their status underscored the complexities of public perception in the realm of space exploration and the influence of political narratives in that context. As of early February 2025, NASA continued to prepare for the scheduled return of Wilmore and Williams, with the understanding that their extended mission had been a necessary decision based on the technical challenges faced during their initial flight. The situation regarding the two NASA astronauts Barry Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams aboard the International Space Station ISS presents several counterintuitive elements when juxtaposed with the narrative put forth by former President Donald Trump and Elon Musk. Here are the key counterintuitive aspects. 1. Mischaracterization of stranded. The characterization of Wilmore and Williams as stranded or abandoned is fundamentally misleading. Despite Trump's emphatic claims, NASA and other sources clarified that the astronauts were not in any perilous situation. They were safe, well supported on the ISS, and could return to Earth at any time. But their return was contingent on NASA's scheduling and logistical decisions. This contradicts the implication that they were left in a dangerous or desperate state. 2. NASA's decision-making process. Trump's assertion that the Biden administration was negligent in managing the astronauts' situation overlooks the complexities of NASA's operational decisions. The agency's choice to extend Wilmore and Williams' mission was based on technical assessments and safety considerations rather than political motivations. Former NASA Administrator Bill Nelson explicitly stated that politics did not influence the decision to keep the astronauts aboard the ISS longer than initially planned, which counters the narrative that the Biden administration was at fault. 3. SpaceX's role in pre-existing plans. The suggestion that SpaceX needed to be instructed by Trump to return the astronauts is misleading. SpaceX had already planned for their return using a Crew Dragon spacecraft, which had the capacity to accommodate them. This means that Trump's intervention was not only unnecessary but also based on a misunderstanding of the existing arrangements. The astronauts' return was already scheduled, demonstrating a level of operational readiness that contradicts the narrative of abandonment. For a public perception versus operational reality, the media frenzy surrounding Trump's comments and Musk's subsequent remarks may have created a distorted perception of the situation. While the public may have been led to believe that an urgent rescue was needed, the reality was that the astronauts were engaged in their mission, with both Wilmore and Williams expressing their acceptance and professionalism regarding the extended stay. Their comments reveal a stark contrast between the public narrative and the astronauts' actual experiences. 5. Timing and context. The timeline of events shows that the astronauts' extended stay was a result of technical issues with the Boeing Starliner, which necessitated a careful risk assessment by NASA. The decision to send them back on a Crew Dragon was made well in advance of Trump's comments and had been communicated clearly to the astronauts. This highlights a disconnect between political rhetoric and the operational realities of space missions. 6. Professionalism of the astronauts. Both astronauts have publicly expressed their understanding and acceptance of the situation, emphasizing their professionalism and focus on the activities at hand. This attitude starkly contrasts with the dramatic framing of their condition as one of being abandoned, illustrating how the astronauts viewed their mission as an opportunity rather than a burden. In summary, the narrative presented by Trump and Musk surrounding the astronauts' situation is countered by the facts on the ground, which reveal a well-coordinated and professional approach by NASA and SpaceX. The astronauts were not in a state of crisis. They were engaged in their work with their return planned and scheduled, thereby debunking the claims of negligence and abandonment. In the report regarding Donald Trump's comments about NASA astronauts Barry Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams, several key points emerged that many people might overlook, which significantly illuminate the broader implications of this incident. 1. Mischaracterization of astronauts' status. Trump's assertion that Wilmore and Williams were stranded or abandoned in space is a critical point that deserves attention. NASA officials and the astronauts themselves have clarified that they were not in any danger and were not stranded in any conventional sense. They had the option to return to Earth at any time, contingent on NASA's operational schedules. This mischaracterization is significant because it reflects a broader tendency in political discourse to sensationalize situations for dramatic effect, often undermining the actual facts and the professionalism of the individuals involved. 2. NASA's operational decisions. The decision-making process within NASA regarding Wilmore and Williams' extended stay on the ISS is crucial to understanding the context. The astronauts' mission was extended due to technical issues with their original spacecraft, the Boeing CST-100 Starliner. NASA's management prioritized mission stability and crew safety over political narratives, which is an important operational principle in space missions. This highlights the complexities of space travel, where technical challenges can lead to unforeseen changes in mission plans, and emphasizes the importance of having a well-coordinated operational strategy rather than a politically driven agenda. 3. Political implications and narrative control. Trump's comments serve as a critique of the Biden administration, framing the situation in a way that could suggest negligence on the part of the current government, which contributed to the confusion surrounding the astronaut status. The fact that SpaceX was already scheduled to return the astronauts raises questions about the motivations behind Musk's comments. This situation reflects the growing influence of private companies in space exploration and how their leaders' public statements can impact perceptions of governmental agencies. The implications of this are profound, as it blurs the lines between commercial interests and national objectives in space. 5. Communication and public understanding. The incident underscores a critical issue in public communication about space missions. The rapid dissemination of information on social media can lead to misunderstandings, as seen with Trump's and Musk's posts. The confusion regarding the astronauts' status illustrates the challenges of effectively communicating complex scientific information to the public, especially when sensational narratives gain traction. This situation highlights the necessity for clearer communication from NASA and other space agencies to mitigate misinterpretations and ensure that the public remains accurately informed about space missions. 6. The human element in space exploration. Lastly, the astronauts themselves played a significant role in the narrative. Their professionalism and acceptance of their situation were crucial in framing the extended stay as a part of their duties rather than as a crisis. Their comments reflect a mindset that is integral to the success of space missions: adaptability and a focus on mission objectives over personal circumstances. This human element is often overlooked in discussions about space exploration, yet it is vital for the success and safety of missions. In conclusion, the incident involving Trump's comments about the astronauts and the subsequent media coverage highlights several significant points that are often overlooked. The mischaracterization of the astronauts' status, the operational decisions by NASA, the blending of political narratives with space exploration, the implications of private sector involvement, communication challenges, and the human aspect of space missions all play essential roles in understanding the larger context of this situation. These elements are significant not just for this particular incident, but for the future of space exploration and the relationship between government and commercial entities in this field. 1. Mischaracterization of astronaut status. The primary focus of the discourse centers around the misrepresentation of the situation involving astronauts Barry Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams. Trump's characterization of them as stranded and virtually abandoned in space is factually inaccurate. Both astronauts were not in a state of distress and had the option to return to Earth at any time based on NASA's scheduling decisions. NASA had extended their stay due to technical issues with the Boeing Starliner, which had been deemed too risky for a crewed return. This point serves as a critical axis for understanding the role of media and political rhetoric in shaping public perception of space missions. 2. Political implications and critiques. Trump's comments reflect a broader political narrative wherein he critiques the Biden administration for its handling of NASA missions. This highlights the intersection of politics and space exploration, raising questions about how political agendas can influence public discourse surrounding scientific endeavors. Trump's assertions and Musk's subsequent support indicate an attempt to leverage the situation for political gain. Despite NASA's operational decisions being based primarily on safety and technical assessments, The political framing of space missions can distract from the actual complexities and challenges faced by space agencies. 3. SpaceX's operational role and communication. The role of SpaceX in the context of the astronauts' return is another key point of analysis. While Trump and Musk suggested an urgent need for a rescue mission, NASA had already coordinated a return plan involving SpaceX. This led to confusion within the industry about whether there was a lack of planning or an actual need for a rescue. It underscores the importance of clear communication between government agencies and private contractors in the space sector, especially when public statements can create misunderstandings about mission status and safety. For public perception and media coverage, the disparity in media coverage regarding the astronauts' situation is noteworthy. Outlets like NPR, CBS News, and Space News each presented the story with varying emphases, reflecting how media narratives can influence public understanding. While some outlets clarified NASA's position and the astronauts' actual conditions, others may have inadvertently fueled the notion of abandonment due to the sensational framing of Trump's comments. This highlights the responsibility of media in accurately conveying scientific and operational realities, particularly in high-stakes contexts like human spaceflight. These points collectively emphasize the need for accurate information dissemination, the impact of political narratives on public perception, and the importance of operational clarity in space missions. 1. Apollo 13, 1970. The Apollo 13 mission is perhaps one of the most famous cases of astronauts being perceived as stranded in space. After an oxygen tank exploded 2 days into the mission, the crew, James Lovell, Jack Swigert, and Fred Hayes, found themselves in a dire situation. NASA's mission control, led by Flight Director Gene Kranz, had to quickly devise a plan to safely bring the astronauts back to Earth. The crew used the lunar module as a lifeboat and had to execute a complicated series of maneuvers to return safely, demonstrating both the ingenuity of the ground team and the resilience of the astronauts. 2. Mir Space Station, 1997. In 1997, the Russian space station Mir experienced a series of incidents that led to concerns for the safety of its crew. The most notable was the collision with a resupply spacecraft, which caused a significant breach in the station. The crew aboard, consisting of cosmonauts Vasily Tsibliev and Alexander Lazutkin, had to manage their resources carefully and work with ground control to stabilize the situation. Though not technically stranded, the incident raised serious alarms about crew safety and the viability of long-duration missions in space. 3. Soyuz 11, 1971. Soyuz 11 is another tragic case where the crew was not technically stranded but faced a dire situation. After a successful mission aboard the Salyut-1 space station, the crew, Georgy Dobrovolsky, Viktor Patsayev, and Vladislav Volkov, died during re-entry due to cabin depressurization. Although they were not stranded in space at the time, their situation highlights the risks associated with human spaceflight and the potential for life-threatening events even during what might be considered a successful mission. The incident led to significant changes in safety protocols for future missions. Future outlook, space exploration, and political dynamics. The situation surrounding the return of NASA astronauts Barry Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams from the International Space Station ISS in early 2025, amidst political commentary from former President Donald Trump, offers a glimpse into the evolving landscape of space exploration and its intersection with politics. As we look to the future, several key trends and predictions can be made concerning space exploration, the role of private companies, and the interplay of political narratives. 1. Continued growth of commercial spaceflight. The involvement of companies like SpaceX in crewed space missions signifies an ongoing trend towards commercial spaceflight. As NASA collaborates with private entities, we can expect increased accessibility. The costs of sending astronauts and cargo to space may decrease, making space more accessible for research, tourism, and commercial ventures. This could lead to more frequent missions and a variety of spacecraft options for agencies and private companies alike. Diversification of missions. With SpaceX and other companies expanding their capabilities, we might see a diversification in mission types, including deep space exploration, lunar landings, and even Mars missions. The success of the Crew Dragon missions will likely encourage other companies to develop their own crewed spacecraft. 2. Stronger international collaboration. As space exploration becomes more commercialized, international partnerships are expected to strengthen. Various nations will likely collaborate on joint missions. Countries may pool resources for missions to the Moon and Mars, similar to the Artemis program, which aims for a sustainable human presence on the Moon by the end of the decade. International cooperation can help share the burden of costs and enhance safety through shared expertise. Regulatory frameworks. As more nations and private entities venture into space, there will be a pressing need for international regulations governing space activities, including traffic management and resource utilization. This could lead to treaties akin to those governing the seas and airspace. 3. Political influence on space policies. The political landscape will continue to shape space exploration policies. Policy shifts, depending on the political party in power in the US and other countries' priorities in space exploration, may shift. For example, a future administration might emphasize lunar missions over Mars exploration, or vice versa. As seen in the Trump comments about the Biden administration, political narratives can influence public perception and funding decisions. Public engagement. Politicians may increasingly use space exploration as a platform to engage with the public, with space being a source of national pride and technological advancement. Future leaders might leverage missions to inspire their constituencies and garner support for broader science and technology initiatives. 4. Safety and risk management. The complex nature of space missions means that risk assessment will remain crucial. Enhanced safety protocols. As more astronauts are sent to space, agencies will need to refine their safety protocols. The incidents with the Boeing Starliner demonstrate the importance of rigorous testing and risk assessment before crewed missions. Crisis management. The political fallout from incidents such as the portrayal of astronauts being stranded highlights the need for effective crisis communication strategies. Agencies will likely develop more robust frameworks to manage public communications and mitigate misinformation. 5. Technological innovations. The demand for improved technologies will drive innovation in space exploration. Next-gen spacecraft. Future spacecraft are expected to feature advanced technologies that enhance safety, efficiency, and comfort for astronauts. This includes autonomous systems, improved life support, and better propulsion systems. Sustainability in space. As we venture further into space, sustainability will become a focal point. This includes the development of technologies for in-situ resource utilization, minimizing space debris, and creating closed-loop life support systems. 6. Public interest in space tourism. Public fascination with space will likely fuel the growth of space tourism. Commercial space tourism. As companies like SpaceX and Blue Origin successfully conduct crewed missions, the next decade could see a boom in space tourism, with wealthy individuals able to experience space travel. This may lead to new economic opportunities within the space sector. Educational outreach. The excitement surrounding space will encourage educational initiatives aimed at engaging youth in STEM fields, fostering the next generation of scientists and engineers. Conclusion. The events surrounding the return of astronauts from the ISS highlight not only the intricacies of space exploration but also the potent interplay between politics and science. As commercial space travel becomes more commonplace and international collaboration strengthens, the landscape of space exploration is poised for transformative growth. Future leaders will need to navigate these dynamics carefully, ensuring that the excitement of space exploration continues to inspire and unite people across the globe, transcending political divides and fostering a spirit of cooperation and innovation.